Thank you, Mr. Chair.
2.2.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry. People are acting as if this is something new. Fulton County did not create the nominations and appointment process. Nominations and appointments have been going on throughout the history of this country. One of the first cases we learned as a law student is Marbury versus Madison, 1803, which dealt with the nomination of Madison as a Chief Justice. The nominations and appointment process is even written into the U.S. Constitution, the Georgia Constitution, and also our Fulton County Code. The Supreme Court told us in Marbury versus Madison in 1803, 222 years ago, that nomination is not appointment. A nomination is a recommendation. It is a suggestion. And what happens if the nomination does not get the required number of votes for the government to act, it's called a failed nomination. This is not something new. These nominations have failed. And the history and practice of our country for over 222 years is that when a nomination fails, someone makes an alternate nomination. And the alternate nomination gets a vote. So why are we acting like this is something new? Why are we acting like Fulton County did something wrong? It's not our fault that their nominees didn't get the required number of votes for Fulton County government to act. Georgia law is the same. The Georgia Constitution allows the governor to nominate, but the Senate votes to confirm. And if a nominee is if a nominee is rejected under the Georgia Constitution, they cannot be resubmitted for another year. Here in Fulton County, our own code says, Section 1-73D, that 4 members of the Board of Commissioners shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business, but the affirmative vote of at least 4 commissioners shall, they like that word shall be required for the Board of Commissioners to take official action. Well, let's look at what happened. The nominees did not get 4 affirmative votes. Since the nominees failed to get 4 affirmative votes, Fulton County was unable to act. You see, no action in this county, not a budget item, not an agenda item, not a widget, not the jail, not the courts, nothing takes place unless there are 4 affirmative votes. That is also the reason why these 2 nominations failed. They failed to get 4 affirmative votes. That's not contempt. That's not illegal or wrong. So they want, imagine this, they want to blame Fulton County for their failed nominees. What typically happens, people don't even make nominations that they know aren't going to get appointed. It's so routine. The law is so settled in this country. The law surrounding nominations and appointments is so settled in this country for the last 220 years that people don't even make nominations that they know will not get appointed because they don't want their nominations to fail. That's what reasonable people do. Reasonable people then make an alternate or substitute nomination. It is impossible for the county to act. And because these nominations failed, and since these nominations failed, there's no way that the county can be in contempt. It's impossible. The county can't take action unless there are 4 affirmative votes. There were not 4 affirmative votes, so the county could not act. So it's impossible for the county to be in contempt. And even if it is contempt, it's not willful contempt because there was a vote. The county didn't fail. Their nominees failed. So instead of accepting that their nominees failed, mind you, one of these nominees was nominated a couple of years ago, and his nomination failed at that time. And what did they do? They went and they made an alternate nomination. That's what you do in America. That's the way the American democracy has run for over 222 years, since Marbury versus Madison. Since 1803, that is the way the nomination and appointment process has worked in this country. Anybody remember Neil Bork, who got nominated? His nomination failed. His nomination failed. So let's be clear, when the votes aren't there, the nomination fails. That is not dysfunction, that is democracy. And no lawsuit, no contempt order, or no shifting of the goals, right? I mean, that's what this is. This is moving the goalpost. Our nominee didn't get appointed, now we're gonna go change the rules. We're gonna go to the state and change the rules. How about make a better nomination? How about make a better nomination? How about follow 222 years of American jurisprudence? How about follow 222 years of American jurisprudence? Make a substitute or alternate nomination. And guess what? The legislature knew. The legislature knew when they drafted this law that it was going to be subject to a vote of the commissioners. The legislature knew when they made this law that 4 affirmative votes would be required for the appointment of a nomination. The legislature knew that when they drafted this law. Why are we trying to act like this is something new? Why are we trying to act like this is something that has never been seen before? This is not unprecedented. This is a full frontal attack on the foundation of democracy, on the foundation of American jurisprudence. And instead of going with the rules that they established, they now want to try to come hold somebody in contempt because their nominees failed to get the required number of votes that are necessary to be appointed. The language that says shall means that the governing authority is the appointing authority. The Fulton County governing authority shall appoint. That means that we are the appointing authority. That's what that means. And then it goes on to say, from nominations. From nominations with an S at the end. It does not say from the governing authority shall appoint any nomination from the party. It does not say the governing authority shall appoint every nomination from either party. It says from nominations with an S at the end. That implies that there will be multiple nominations if one of the nominations fails. In this case, both nominations have failed.
Commissioner.
Yes, sir. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. This is America. This is an attack, again, on 222 years of jurisprudence. But not only is this America, this is Fulton County. This is Atlanta, Georgia. This is the home of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And no one on God's green earth can tell me how to vote. No one. Now, the voters can vote me out, but no one is going to tell me how to vote. I'm going to vote my conscience. I have the First Amendment right to freedom of speech, and the judge acknowledges that he can't tell us how to vote, but then says, hey, Fulton County is in contempt. If you can't tell us how to vote, we took a vote, the nominations failed. There is a legal term. It's called a failed nomination. This is not something new. So nominations may come from whoever they want to nominate, from any outside group. But appointments shall be made by the Fulton County Governing Authority, which is this Board of Commissioners.
Commissioner, thank you.
And appointments belong to the people and their representatives. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an issue of most importance. And I came here today against doctor's orders to be here to say this. So thank you.
All right, Commissioner Ivory.